This conference will now be recorded.
Great. So hi everyone. Welcome to the first session of grammar and sentence correction. We'll have around 10 to 12 live sessions on sentence correction and grammar, and these number of sessions would ensure that whatever entrance exam you take this year, you are able to solve sentence correction and grammar questions with at least 90% accuracy. So the target for sentence correction and grammar is to get to 90% accuracy, nothing less than that. Now, just like we have studied and tried to develop certain algorithmic approaches, while we were studying RCs, which have helped a lot of you to improve your accuracy in reading comprehension as well. We'll try to study some very basic rules, say around 20 to 25 rules, which we'll try to study, and we will try to remember those rules so that we can easily eliminate the options when we get a sentence correction question. So that is the objective. Okay, and so we'll start off now. Now, all of us, do we understand what do we mean by subject of a sentence? Do we understand what is verb? Do we all understand what is subject of a sentence? Can anyone tell me what is subject of a sentence? Can I say that usually the subject of a sentence is the noun or any modifier which I am using for that particular noun in the given sentence? In the most layman term, in the easiest terms, can I say this? This particular subject, it could be a person, it could be a place, it could be an idea, it could be a thought, it it could be anything which is the main focus of my sentence. We all know, when we were in our class 9th 10th, we used to study something, how many of you have studied from Ren and Martin? How many of you have studied Ren and Martin at some point of time in your school? Right, Vardhan? Right? So we all studied something called subject predicate, in Ren and Martin. I still remember it used to be the part of the very initial chapters where they used to teach what is subject, what is predicate. So if I say that, what is a subject, as the word refers, it it indicates any noun, it indicates any and as the normal definition of a noun goes, it could be a person, it could be anything, it could be a thought about which my sentence is talking about. And we also know what is verb. What is the most basic definition of verb? Can I say that verb refers to an action word? Anything which is referring to an action is called a verb. That is my most layman definition of verb. Now, when we are studying sentence correction, when we are studying grammar from the perspective of sentence correction, again, I would like to reiterate, and all of you should always remember this. You are not learning grammar for your entrance examinations from the perspective of becoming a PhD in English. Your objective is not to become a PhD in English. Your objective is to solve the question correctly in the examination. So we will only study that part of grammar which helps me to solve sentence correction question. And I will study grammar only from the perspective of sentence correction. Otherwise, grammar is a huge area. We could take 2 to 3 months to study grammar, but we are going to restrict it to the sentence correction perspective. Now, talking about that, we understand what is subject, we understand what is verb. The first and the foremost rule which we need to remember while solving any sentence correction question is my subject and verb, they need to be in agreement with each other. Subject verb agreement. This is the first thing. This is the first thing which you will check in any sentence correction question. You will be able to eliminate options, or you will be able to tell that whether the given sentence is correct or not at least 8 out of 10 times if you can apply subject verb agreement. Now there are quite a few rules which go into subject verb agreement. We are going to study some of those rules today, and some of these rules we'll study in the upcoming sessions. As the first rule, you can read on your screen. If I have two or more singular subjects connected by and, then my verb is going to be plural. Are we getting? So, if my two or more singular subjects are connected by the word and there is a verb after them, my verb needs to be plural in nature. It cannot be singular. As I read over here, if I say Hari and Ram, Hari and Ram, they become my subjects, and is the word connecting them. My verb cannot be is. At times what happens is, we read, okay, Ram is written, Ram is singular, so it should be is. This is correct. No. If there are two subjects which are connected by and, I will treat them as plural, and my verb needs to be plural. So the correct form will be Hari and Ram are here. It will not be Hari and Ram is here. This is the first thing which we need to remember. Now, taking this ahead, one thing which I need to remember is when my subjects are singular, say they are two or more connected by the word and my subjects are different. My subjects are not same. This is an important thing which you need to remember. My subjects, as per the rule number 1, my subjects need to be different. They cannot be same. What do I mean? Suppose if I say, if suppose there is a person called Varun, and Varun is the secretary of the college, or say secretary of a society and principal of a college, and someone sees Varun coming and they say that the secretary and principal dash coming. So that word, that verb which they are going to use for secretary and principal, despite the fact that secretary and principal are connected by and, my verb will be singular. If the two singular nouns, they refer to the same person or thing, my verb needs to be singular. In this case, the secretary and principal is coming, not the secretary and principal are coming. Are you all able to understand the difference between point 1 and 2? Both the cases are about nouns, singular nouns. The only difference between rule 1 and rule 2 is, in rule 1, my subjects, they are different people. So Moini, in rule number 1, my subjects are different people. Hari and Ram, they are two different people. But suppose if Varun is secretary of a society and Varun is principal of a college, and I see Varun coming and I say that the secretary and principal dash coming. Now while secretary and principal, they are two different singular nouns, but they are referring to the same person Varun, and hence my verb must be singular. Is it clear now? Mohini, are you able to understand that what is the
Yes, sir.
difference between 1 and 2? Ishan, that is where your judgment will go, because sentence correction question you will not just read in parts, but you will read the whole. Suppose say 4 or 5 sentences are given to you and they ask you to tell which is the incorrect sentence or which is the correct sentence. You are going to read 4 or 5 sentences together. Your judgment of reading them, your ability to comprehend them will tell you whether they are the same people or whether they are the different people. Is it clear, everyone, so far? Perfect. Now, moving to rule number 3. Every time you find the words like each or every before the singular subjects which are connected with the word and, you will always use the singular form of the verb and not the plural form. So if you have a sentence which says each boy and girl or every boy and girl, the moment I use each or the moment I use every, my verb will become singular, because by the basic definition we understand that the moment I say each, I am counting everything as singular. The moment I say every, I am counting everything as singular, and it is not plural anymore, and hence my verb will be singular. It will not be plural. Are we able to understand that? Are we able to understand even the reason behind this, that why with each and why with every we are always going to use the singular form of the verb? Now similarly, if my words are connected by or, nor, either or neither nor, my verb will always take the singular form. My verb will always take the singular form. It will not take the plural form. Again, either or, neither nor or. Okay, easy to remember. These are words which we often remember very easily. We have a easy top of the mind recall for these words. Either or, neither nor, or nor. Verb will always go as singular. Moini?
Yes, sir.
Bharat, you are not reading this correctly. I have said 2 or more singular subjects. You are talking of plural subjects. So Moini, I just wanted to ask that understanding. Are you able to understand? Saransh?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So, everyone, we have discussed so far 4 points. Very easy to remember. You need to remember in what case my verb must be singular and in what cases my verb can be plural. Now let's move to the next set of rules. Now here comes the situation what Bharat was asking, when my subjects are either plural or they are of different numbers. When my subjects they are joined by either or, neither nor, or nor, and even if one of the two subjects is plural or both the subjects are plural, my verb will be plural. Bharat, this addresses your query. If both my subjects are singular, my verb will be singular. If even one of my subjects is plural, my verb will be plural in the case of either or, neither nor, or and nor. Parinay, is and are, they are also verbs. They are action words. They are treated as action words. Was there, is there. Is and was, in this case, they are representing the presence of a person at a particular place. And that presence, indicating that presence at a particular place, is referred to as a verb. Perfect. So we understood now that when my subjects they are when I have subjects of different numbers, my verb would be plural. If my subjects of different numbers they are connected by or, nor, either or, neither nor. Now, one thing which we need to remember is there could be a scenario where I have a situation like he and I, or say she and I. In this case, if I have he and I, and this is a very frequently made mistake, whether I use is with I or whether I use am with I, what do I use? This is a very frequently made mistake. Whenever you have he or I, or say she or I, you will use the verb as per the word which is closest to the verb. Suppose if I've written either he or I will use am because am goes with I. But if it was either I or either I or he, then my verb will be is. My verb in this case will go with the subject which is closest to the verb. If it is he, either I or he is mistaken. Either he or I am mistaken. Are you understanding it? Are you understanding what the point number 6 is trying to say? Perfect. And I believe this is not something which is very difficult to remember. These are very basic things. As we will practice more, as we'll practice questions and we analyze them, we would be able to remember these rules very easily. Now, moving ahead. Rule number 7 is one of the one of the most confusing rules. A collective noun takes a singular verb when the collection is thought of as a whole. A plural verb when the individuals of which it is composed are thought of. Now, what do I mean when I say this? The Council of Ministers. The Council of Ministers. So if I say the Council of Ministers of Prime Minister, right? The Council of Ministers. The Council of Ministers, will it be treated as singular noun or a plural noun? On its face, it's a collective noun because I am saying the Council of Ministers. So if I have to talk about the Council of Ministers, will I treat it as a singular noun or a plural noun? Tell me. Singular. Right? Singular. The council of ministers, whatever the council of ministers decide, or say the cabinet of ministers decide, it is treated as singular noun. So if I have a sentence of the prime minister and the council of ministers, I will treat both the subjects as singular. If only the council of ministers is written, then also I will treat it as singular. But that is where the confusing part comes. When I talk about military, when I say talk about military, I treat them as a plural noun. I don't treat them as a singular noun. The reason is, while I may have say 50 ministers, I see them as just one military. Sorry, if suppose I have 50 ministers, I see them as just one, that is the cabinet of ministers, the cabinet. But when I say the military is something where I may be using military to refer to something, say on the lines of defense, but individually I know that there are different soldiers, and each of them, they have their own identity, and they comprise this military. So while the difference is, irrespective of the number of ministers, I prefer to call them the cabinet, irrespective of the the fact that military is a collective noun for soldiers. I end up seeing the soldiers as individuals. Right, Shivashish? Chandra, you are just let me know. I just concluded that part, which will make you understand. I always see that as a cabinet, but military, I never use the word military to refer to anything which is done by the army. I always see them as soldiers. I see them as the individuals. Right? Who all are not able to understand?
Sir, once again.
Please mute your phone, mute your systems. Now, okay, let's start off with, can you tell me, is military a countable word or an uncountable word? Okay, let's take a step back. Military is uncountable. Perfect. What is the council of ministers? What is the cabinet of ministers? Is it countable or is it uncountable? Because you can always accept it as a standard and use, but it's easy to remember if you understand the logic also. Correct. So we agree that if I refer to military, I am referring to an uncountable noun, and if I am referring to council, I am referring to a countable noun. Do all of us agree on this? Do all of us agree on this? Perfect. Now, as a rule, we are going to take this, that if my, and this is something which you can apply elsewhere as well, if my collective noun is for the countable noun, if my collective noun is for the countable nouns, I will treat it as a singular subject. If my collective noun is for uncountable nouns, I will treat it as the plural subject. Is it clear? Will we be able to link it with this? And remember, the collective noun is for a countable noun or an uncountable noun. For a countable noun, I will treat it as singular. For a plural noun, I will treat it as the plural. Okay? Yes, Chandra, you can take that. Team is always countable. The team has decided that today Kohli is not going to play. Yes, Bharat. Bharat, you are assuming it correct. Neha, are you able to understand? Anmol, Chandra, perfect. And I'll break I'll break sentence correction sessions into smaller sessions because they get very heavy. So someone said, example of military. So one example could be the military were not treating the civilians kindly. I would say the military were not treating civilians kindly. No, Shraddha, we are not going to do the questions today. I will send you the questions a day before the next session and you will attempt them before the next session. We will discuss them in the session. The moment I say military of India, Chitranshi, I have limited it to one. I will use now a singular noun, the military of India. Chitranshi, there is a difference. At one point of, in one sentence, if I say military and if I say military of India, the sense of the change, the sense and the semantics and the essence of the word changes. You also need to understand that what is the context of the sentence. Remember, any sentence correction rule cannot be just said that it's a blanket application. You need to understand the context also. If I say the military, if I say the military were not treating the civilians kindly, I am referring to the military. But if I say the military of India, suddenly my count becomes one. So military of India cannot be treated like military. Anushka, yes, you will get the PDF of this session. Chitranshi, are you able to understand now? Ishan, we will take up a lot of questions, if we will, so don't worry on that front. Everyone at the stadium was watching the match, not were. Everyone at the stadium was watching the match. The moment I use the word everyone, I am referring to them as a singular noun. Correct? Everyone at the stadium was or were watching the match. What do all of you think? Right? Because the moment I say everyone, I am referring to them as individuals. I am treating them as singular. Right? If I talk about police, police will be treated similarly the way I am treating military. If I say Delhi police, it becomes countable. If I say just the word police, it becomes uncountable. Everyone makes a subject singular. Yes, Chandan. See, that's how you will count each, the word each and the word every. And everyone, the word itself has the word one. Atul, you cannot get into learning all the things. There is unlimited number of countable nouns. There are unlimited number of uncountable nouns. You cannot say that this is a important countable noun or this is a less important countable noun. Yes, Shraddha, even everybody would be was. Is it clear, Shraddha? Okay. Now, there are certain words which are definitely the exceptions, which despite having the word s at the end, they are treated singular. Like if I use the word physics, if I use the word mathematics, now despite the fact that these words they are ending with s, I will treat them as singular. I will treat them as singular and they will always have a singular verb after them. Usually, how do we differentiate between singular and plural? Plural will always have s in 99% of the cases, right? Now, the words mathematics, physics, which are the names of the subjects, despite the fact that they end with s, they refer to a singular subject and they need to have a singular verb behind them. Is it clear? So I will not say mathematics are a branch of study in every school. I will say mathematics is a branch of study in every school. Is it clear? Similarly, there can be say there can be a noun which is looking singular but is plural in meaning. Can you give me any example? Any example for such a word? People. Right. People, men, women. Here, these are the words which don't end with s, but we treat them with a plural meaning and we give them a plural verb. Right, children too. Right? Not fish, not fish. Here, yes, not fish. Are you all understanding that at times we need to take the call, we need to take the judgment call that whether the word which is ending with s is actually singular or plural, or the word which is not ending with s, it is singular or plural? Yes, rice can be treated both singular and plural. News is the word which ends with s but will be treated singular. Right, Anushka? Moving ahead. Important rule. Words joined to a singular subject. Words joined to a singular subject by the words like these: with, together with, in addition to, or, as well as, etc. They do not affect the number of the verb. They do not affect the number of the verb. So if I say the chief with all his men dash killed, it will be was killed. It will not be were killed. If I would say men, 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 comma, as well as the chief dash killed, I will say were killed. Are you getting it? The chief, comma, with all his men. Because with all his men, my word kill is still referring to the first word, that is the chief, which is singular. But if I say men, 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 comma, along with the chief dash killed, it would be were, because chief is only a thing which is tagging along, but my main subject remains plural. And if I say the chief with all his men, my main subject remains singular. Is it clear? We are not adding. That's what I'm saying. This word still is majorly linked with the word chief. If I swap men and chief, my verb will also change. And this is specifically when I am using the words like with, together with, in addition to, as well as. Right, Neha? You are correct, and it is specifically for the kind of words which I have mentioned in the rule. Words, this is not applicable for the word and. Do not confuse it. Do not confuse it. This is not applicable for the word and. If it was the chief and his men, then it will be were killed. But if it is the chief with his men, or the chief as well as his men, then it will be was. I'm not talking about the word and. I'm talking about the word with, together with, in addition to, as well as. Yes, including will be apt for this rule, Bharat. Are you all getting? I am not talking about the word and. I am not talking about the word and. For the word and, our first two rules which we discussed, they remain applicable. But I am talking about the words like with, together with, in addition to, including, as well as. Yes, Chitranshi, even if the nearest subject is plural, it does not matter if my words are connected with the words like with, together with, in addition to, or as well as. Because my subject, which is farther from my verb, is my main subject. But the moment I use the word and, as I discussed in first 2 points, the moment I use the word and, I am taking them together. But in this case, the rule which I am talking in point number 9, I am not taking them as together. I am treating them as separate. That is why here I will treat my verb to be in agreement with the farther subject, but the moment I use the word and, my rules change. Is it clear? Moving to the rule number 10. When the subject when the subject is a relative pronoun, care should be taken to see that the verb agrees in number and person with the antecedent of the relative. What do I mean by antecedent? Can anyone tell me what do I mean by the word antecedent? The word antecedent refers the word which was preceding the preceding word. So if I say I, who is your friend? My who is the pronoun, is the relative pronoun for the word I. It is not the relative word for the word friend. I, who is your friend? Who am your friend? Will guard your interests. Here, this verb will go, this verb will go with this noun. This verb will go with this noun. This verb will not go with this. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Are you all understanding? I'm saying if I have a relative word, I have a relative pronoun, I have a relative pronoun. What is the relative pronoun in this sentence? What is the relative pronoun in this sentence? Who? Now, is who embedded between two nouns? Is the relative pronoun who sandwiched between two nouns? What are those two nouns? Word who is sandwiched between which two nouns? Which are the two nouns between which who is sandwiched? I and friend. I and friend. Right. Now, whenever the rule says, whenever my relative pronoun is sandwiched between two nouns, I will always go with the number and the person of the noun which is preceding my relative pronoun. I will not go with the noun which is succeeding my relative pronoun. Antecedent means preceding. I will go with the antecedent of the relative. That means I will go with the noun which is preceding my relative pronoun. I will not go with the noun which is coming after my relative pronoun. In this case, I will not go with friend, but I will go with I and the verb which I am using along with my relative pronoun will also go with the noun which is before this relative pronoun. Is it clear now? If I have a relative pronoun which is sandwiched between two nouns, the verb for my relative pronoun will go with the noun which is before my relative pronoun. Are you all able to understand it? What does the rule say? Who is going to give me the example? Let's try to form a sentence. Who is going to give the example? What could be the example? I, comma, let me write it. I'll type in the chat window. Okay, I, comma, whose purse I, comma, whose wallet they who are my friend care about me. Ram, whose watches were stolen, is sad. Chandra's example is the one which we need to see correctly, and that example uses the wrong verb. This is why this is one of the most commonly made mistakes. He, if instead of he I put I, comma, who am your coach, will train you for the day. Sir, I guess someone has unmuted. There's Chirag, please. So if I use the word I, comma, who am your coach, will train you for the day, then I would use am. But if I say he, no, Chandra's sentence is correct if I started with he. Chandra's sentence is incorrect if I started with I. Because, Tanya, do you get it now? Chandra's sentence is correct if I started with he, but Chandra's sentence is wrong if I started with I. Because with I you never use is. Is always goes with he. If I have the word I, it has to have am. Are you getting it, Tanya? Yes. If the sentence which Chandra shared Shibashi, see the correct sentence. The incorrect sentence is the correct sentence as am. Yes, Chandra, this is correct. Yes, Tanya, the sentence which you have written is correct. I, who am your coach. Again, you don't go by sounds, you go by the grammar. I, who am your coach, might sound incorrect, but that is grammatically correct. If I say how I, who is your coach, might sound correct, but it is grammatically incorrect. Do you get it, Tanya? Chandra? Are we all able to understand it now? Because the sentence which you have given does not have two pronouns. Perfect. I guess we'll stop this session over here. It's getting a bit heavy. We'll stop it here. But among the 10 points which we have discussed, are you all able to understand them? Are you all able to see that some of these points cover some of the frequent mistakes which we end up making in a sentence correction question? And remember, always go by the grammatical rules. At times, this is something which happens with us Indians a lot, because usually when we speak English, we end up translating a lot of stuff which we say in Hindi to English, and then what we speak might seem correct to us, but it may be grammatically incorrect, and the same ends up influencing our choices for sentence correction questions also, because then we see that, okay, if I am speaking this sentence, how does it sound to my ears? But we don't have to mark our answers based on the fact that how do they sound. We have to mark our answers based on how are they grammatically correct or incorrect. I guess at least out of 10, 3 or 4 rules were such which would help you avoid those mistakes. Shraddha, it's a wrap, and I hope that the session was of some use to all of you. It will help you to reduce your mistakes while you solve further questions. The next session, we will keep it light. We will practice questions in the next session, and then we will again resume with the remaining rules. Aditi, don't worry. Aditi, don't worry. I will share the recording of this session within next 15 to 20 minutes. Tanya, I will send practice questions by tomorrow. I'll send the practice questions tomorrow. The recording of this session will be shared shortly. I will share it within next 15-20 minutes. Classes will continue to be there as per the schedule. Schedule is shared with all of you. Great. So thank you, everyone. I'll try to keep the sessions slightly less heavy from next time. I guess today we got a bit heavy. Thank you, everyone. Good night.